people ask me if I would have used, we didn't have TrackMan. All we had was video when I played the tour. This. And they asked me if I would use TrackMan. And my answer was that, of course, I would use TrackMan if I was on tour now, because I could literally look at TrackMan and see if my swing was the way I wanted it. Whether, let's say, for me, I wanted it, 1 degree to the right on my 5-iron and say 6 degrees down on a 5-iron, something like that. Where do you fit in the TrackMan and all the data and what you actually see and feel, the way your body's moving? Is there you're one of the few players that straddle both eras. I didn't have the new era. You've had both. Where do you fit?
Yeah, I think the information is good. But like I said, with TrackMan, I can make those numbers look however I want. Doesn't mean that I'm doing it the right way or the shot shape's what I want. I think the technology that's available is very useful. I think the 3D stuff that Gears is doing, and K-Vest might have been around when you were still playing out. It's pretty close.
Yeah. I did a swing on K-Vest. That was kind of cool back in the day.
That does it 3-dimensionally. You got sensors all over your body, kind of like people that are watching and listening, what the video games used to do to take Tiger Woods and put them in Tiger Woods golf. You put them in a bodysuit and you have all these sensors on you, and they're all measuring different components. They're measuring how much your rib cage turns, how much your hips turn, where your center is, how much flexion extension you have in your wrists, and it's all at different points in your golf swing. It's also measuring the club shaft, club face, your feet, your knees, the whole show, right? So you can see all these things that are going on.
And I'm assuming when you get that data, they have a catalog of good players, and they may say something like, okay, Jason, this is what you're doing, but no other tour player does that. This is what I think I'm asking you the question, how does a guy learn from that? It's like all the tour players do this. This is kind of the way we look at data, right?
Yeah.
You and I look at data the same way. It's like, okay, what's the weight doing on every tour player? And go ahead.
They've accumulated enough data of tour players, which are elite level players, and they've been able to look at all these different positions and where you are in the golf swing, and the force plates, which measure where the weight distribution is, and they've kind of come up with this is what the good players do. This is why they're good, right? And each guy's a little different. People have different body types. People have different mobility abilities. Someone like Rory can turn his shoulders 145 degrees, and I'm lucky if I can get to 100. So I'll never be able to get, that torso and that rib cage to turn like that. But there are certain parameters, like pretty much everybody on the PGA Tour, if you look at a 3D profile, shifts off the golf ball 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So weight in their right side. And then as they go from club parallel to the ground to the top, that weight starts to shift back towards the target. Some guys get 5 inches in front, some guys get 3 inches. But what they do see that's similar in all of them is that the weight shifts right, and then it starts to recenter back to the left. So that you're on your left side and you can pivot and you can get to impact properly. So a lot of these tools are really good. I think you need people around you that know how to use them, if that makes sense, to give you the right stuff. And then
it gives you a lot of confidence to know that all the tour players do that, because it gives you a free, like you and I talk all the time, gives you a free run at going to try it. It's like you're not going into new territory. It's like, I'm going to go there and see if I've been there, and 9 times out of 10, it sparks something that you've felt before. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. And you need somebody to help you decipher what's important and what's not important for your golf swing. I think that
goes back to what you said 10 minutes ago, which is, can I get on the tee and hit it where I think I want to hit it?
Yeah. I think one thing that's really important that I've learned through this whole process is that how I swing the golf club is unique to me. And going away from that maybe isn't the most ideal road to go down, right? Everybody swings it a little different on tour. There are things that guys do that are all the same. Like I said about the weight shift, pretty much all the tour players have some type of lag. They're leaning the shaft at impact. They have good face control. They have a lot of flexion in their right wrist. But guys do it differently, and it's all based on body type, physical ability, and it's a lot of it's based on your grip, how you grip the golf club. Somebody that has a really weak grip. We see a lot of guys now with weak grips, right? You got Colin Morikawa's got a pretty weak grip. John Rahm, weak
John
grip.
Rahm, yep.
And they bow the club a lot in their left wrist. Well, that's strengthening it. I could never bow the club like that because my grip's already strong. So I'm already in that position, right? There's reasons why certain things happen for certain people. So understanding those relationships, I think, is really important for players and their coaches. But yeah, I think, all this technology, I think, makes it easier for players to develop. It really does. Back in your day, there was a lot of trial and error, and you had to be pretty steadfast in your practice. And you might go 4 or 6 weeks trying to explore something by just feeling it, right?
Yeah, it didn't work. You have to start over.
and on human nature, when you're not doing something well or you're discouraged, to not continue to do it, right? So I think there's probably a lot of guys out there that tried to play professional golf in the 80s and 90s that maybe weren't quite as determined and steadfast in their pursuit, that maybe would have had a better chance with technology because it gave them the information, whether it was right or wrong. They could have learned quicker. The rate of learning is accelerated